Hello, my name is Smith Desai, and I'm from the School of Information Sciences at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Today, I'm going to be investigating a very simple question. Is Alexa like a computer, a search engine, a friend, or just a silly child? Since this question involves Amazon Alexa, we started our investigation with Amazon's website. Here we found this insane word salad of a quote. Alexa isn't a person, but she has a persona. Amazon personifies Alexa as an artificial intelligence and not as a person with a physical body or a gender identity. Performing the requested task instantly and accurately is always her primary goal. All right, so there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Alexa is personified, but not a person. Second, it has no gender identity, but it has a pronoun. None of this makes any sense. So we turned our attention to the actual end users of Alexa. What do they think? But we understand that this question is not as simple as it seems. That's because a human mind is like a black box. The internal mechanisms do not just reveal themselves, they must be inferred using some input and some output. This process of inference using mental models allow us to understand the user's mind. But now the question is, how do we extract these mental models? Well, there are lots of ways, but in our work, we use the most sophisticated tool in the world, human language, more specifically, metaphors. The metaphors people use can reveal tacit knowledge and representations of complex knowledge structures. So, with that understanding, we conducted a user study. We recruited 14 participants and asked them to interact with Amazon Alexa to perform a variety of tasks. After that, we conducted a semi structured interview to understand the experiences of performing these tasks. Lastly, we transcribed the interviews and performed metaphor analysis on them. Also, it might be important to note over here is that at no point did we urge the participants to use metaphors. Through our analysis, we found four key metaphor groups and realized the importance of context when it comes to the use of these metaphors. The first metaphor group we found is Alexa as a computer. Participants used this metaphor group when they had interactions with Alexa, where they were trying to give some command to the device. For example, what's the weather or turn the lights on? Also, when we say metaphor groups, we mean a group of closely related metaphors. For example, the grouping of Alexa as a computer also included robot, virtual assistant, butler, secretary, etc. So the next group is Alexa as search engines. They use this metaphor for information retrieval purposes. That is when they're trying to find some information. Now we come to Alexa as a friend. Participants use this metaphor group in the context of small talk. However, they didn't want just any friend. They compared Alexa to a slightly less intelligent friend, like a dog. Now we come to the last metaphor group, Alexa as a silly child. When there was an error, we expected participants to get frustrated. However, that didn't happen. Instead, we saw something very interesting. Participants laughed it off. Our investigation started with the question but ended with two provocations. So it is true that end users do use human metaphors for VUIs, but it comes with caveats. Firstly, it usually happens in sociality context. That is when they're trying to have small talk or some sort of goofy conversation with the VUI. Now, conversations with sociality intent is not very common. Also, they tend to be filled with operational errors, and then participants also understand that they are talking to a less intelligent entity. They don't consider it an equal, they don't establish a common ground. So maybe it might be time to design very honest VUIs who tell you that they're not all that smart. And also, we might be better off designing polite but functional UIs that are more suited to the back and forth nature of human to VUI conversations. That brings us to the next provocation. So, system personas and rule based VUIs don't take into account the ethical dilemmas they present, like stereotyping. Also, human to human conversations are just too complex to be addressed by one system persona or even one personality. Humans change behavior based on the context they are in. So maybe let's design metaphor-based VUIs that are closer to users' mental model. And let's please not shoehorn contextually stagnant metaphors, or else we'll be filled with VUIs who will behave a lot like this guy. Thanks.